Mostly cloudy with scattered showers. They'll extend across the country tonight with some mist in places. Minimum temperatures of 10 to 13 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
Hello there, you're welcome along to a busy show. So David Goff, it seems, not to the liking of various Kerry people over the last couple of days. We're going to talk to Mike Quirke and Pat McEnany about just who should referee the All-Ireland final, or really more to the point why they're saying David Goff shouldn't. We'll have Kevin Kilbane on the football show. We'll talk Kilkenny, Tipperary, Shane McGrath, Tommy Welch on the way. That's after 8 o'clock, looking ahead to Sunday, and also looking back to maybe one of the greatest rivalries we've seen in sport, full stop. 53106, the text number. We're at Off the Ball on Twitter. Richie is with us, hello. Hello, Joe. And Kevin Kilbane with us as well, hello.
Hi, Joe.
We'll be bringing you lots of Kev on the football show. We've recorded a good chunk of it already because the big man is shooting off. What I did learn in the football show, though, Richie, what I did learn is that 16-year-old...
Learnings and work-ons, Joe, it's what it's all about.
16-year-old, we were talking pre-season, because Manchester United are making much of the pre-season regimen that they've put in place, and we just started talking pre-season, and Kev said, as a 16-year-old, he went into Preston, and when it came to the old bench press... 16-year-old Kevin Kilbane was lifting the heaviest weights at the club, to the point that they were all saying he was on steroids.
Jesus. What kind of...
It was a machine. It was a machine that was. I doubt it probably was the way.
Thing, was it?
You know those old bench press machines where you do it. Obviously, the bench itself.
So it was broken, is what you were saying?
No. Well, no one else could lift the weight that I could do. So that was
120 kgs.
It was 120, but I don't think it was that weight.
He was lifting John Hayes, Richie.
I don't think it was that weight.
The bull.
He was lifting the bull.
Yeah.
We were just saying there's the makings of a good roadshow finale there.
I've not done weights in about 10 years or now.
I know, but they're more to the point. That's the brains of it.
See, we can start small. We can say, right, first out.
build it up.
Yeah,
can you imagine that going?
Joey Carbery, out you come.
Step it back up.
Yeah,
like the puissance at the horse show, where they go higher and higher and higher per go.
Yeah,
we basically put on more weights.
People.
That'd be great.
We build our way up to a prop.
I tell you, I probably couldn't lift 20 kilos now. I tell you.
Well, yes, you're genetically gifted little kid if you're doing that at 16. Seriously. Like lads 10 years older than you, professional footballers should be trouncing.
Yeah, pros couldn't do it, but generally they couldn't do it. I don't know why it was. It was just, I don't know. Maybe just natural West of Ireland man, you know. I think that's what it was.
Like clearly you were like fit, obviously you were, an apprentice footballer. Like, but how?
But I didn't do weights. I didn't do weights leading into that. No, didn't do weights. No.
I was asking, did you have some like part-time job lifting kegs in a bar or something like that?
Were you a hod carrier like Vinnie Jones was back pre his football?
No, nothing like that.
Very impressive young man.
I don't know about that.
Strapping young lad.
Strapping.
I don't know about that.
Strapping.
I'd have been just strong enough, I suppose. Yeah.
Oh, if I do say so.
I don't.
Being modest with your 16-year-old self, Gav.
Hey, listen, it just shows you. Yeah, so David Goff, I don't know why I keep calling David Goff conversation coming up at 7:30. This all started really kind of out of nowhere. Eamon Fitzmaurice said it in the Irish Examiner podcast. Mike Quirke agrees with him.
Owen Shane said it. Owen
Shane's on that.
The voice of authority, yeah.
Like the logic seems to be that David Goff, who is a Meath man, shouldn't do this final because he lives and works in Dublin.
Nonsense.
I would tend to agree it is absolute nonsense as well. I actually can't believe they're pushing this.
Well, first of all, if you're worried about the referee 3 weeks out from the final, you've lost the game.
I know.
Well, look, Fitzmaurice's job, I guess, as a pundit is to be asked about this and to give his opinion. So I'm sure Peter Keane isn't worried about it. But even as a pundit, that this would be your opinion. Because Mike Quirke thinks it too. I'm surprised Mike kind of thinks it.
But he's a pundit and a recent former manager. So this would have been in his thinking if he was, you presume, if he was the manager.
Yeah. Well, it seems like there was a decision in 2016 which Kerry fans really don't like, which David Goff came out, explained, even apologised for the semi-final 2016, where he basically said, I got it wrong, I didn't get it wrong on purpose, I just didn't see the incident. If I had seen it, I would have given a free. Like, what more can you do?
Yeah.
So the logic is he works in Dublin, lives in Dublin, he's going to be under massive pressure walking around Dublin for the next couple of months if he's the man to stop Dublin winning the 5 in a row.
Come on. Do people think Dublin has about 15 people in it?
This is the thing. Like, of all the places you could live in the country, the one place where you'll be able to walk around the city centre the next day And probably, I would wager, if David Goff walked around the city the next day, not one person would recognise him, stop him, or say anything to him.
There are
Would be the
certain
city
players
centre.
from both sides who could walk around Dublin the next day in street clothes and not get noticed.
Yeah.
If you're picking out the referee, you're doing some job in a city of 1 million and odd people.
He referees all his club games in Meath. It's not like he's in the Dublin Championship and he's seeing these guys week to week. I mean, his job, he's with them, St. Pat's and Drumcondra. He's the DCU link up there, games development officer. It's not like that's a Dublin company surrounded by Dublin people. It's funny because I just couldn't believe this when this was brought up in the meeting earlier. So there were 7 of us sitting in the off the ball meeting earlier, like with a view to, if we're talking about living and work, he used to live and work in Dublin. So he says 7 of us. Who here is from Dublin? 1 of us. I mean, the country comes to Dublin.
Yeah.
It's what is the percentage of Dubs and non-Dubs in Dublin? What would it be?
That's the same. Well, the cost of GAA.
70,
I'd say a huge percentage of GAA players live in Dublin. No matter what county they're playing for.
It's totally different to, I think the example was used of if you're like a Cork referee living in Kerry, should you be doing a Kerry-Dublin final? I think that is maybe a slight issue, but I think working and living in Dublin, can't be ruling out referees because they live in Dublin.
I just can't get my head around
why should that be the case if they're from Cork living in Kerry, though?
See how that would be you'd be a bit more of a recognisable figure. It's a smaller place. I can see.
Yeah, all right, okay.
You'd be recognised more in the streets. If you worked in Tralee or something, everybody would know who you were.
What Meath man is favouring Dublin is the other thing I can't get around. Having been brought up in a staunchly Meath household, I cannot get my head around how him being like working and living in Dublin as a Meath man would be seen as perceived bias.
Right, text in here, and this is all this kind of rumours and stuff going around. David Goff's heavily involved with St Jude's GA Club. He is not a member of St Jude's. He is a member of Slane. That's the only GA club he's ever been a member of. There's this thing going around about how he trained the St Jude's team for a Féile. As a teacher, because the man is a teacher, he was asked to take a few sessions ahead of a Féile. And he did. This is years ago. This is
Pitchforks at dawn, Joe. Get him out.
Can't do it.
He doesn't belong in this city.
This is years ago.
That's insane.
He's chairman of Come On na Munskull. Now, this is part of his DCU job. This has nothing to do, again, I'm seeing this on Twitter
Which
all day.
oversees all the primary schools.
Yeah. This has nothing, and he's chairman of the Dublin organisation. This has nothing to do with the Dublin County Board, with Dublin GAA. This is about organising matches for primary school children. Okay? And by the way, the president of Come On na Munskull in Dublin, the president is a Kerry man. So I don't know, maybe he's going to have a Kerry bias because he's, hanging out with a Kerry fella. Just all of this stuff is it just seems like a hatchet job. It seems like sour grapes over 2016.
It's ridiculous.
He's never got to referee a final before. This is a big deal, and I now think there's a really good chance he won't get it because of this thing.
It's too easy.
It's kicked off.
It's easy to say no, isn't it? It just becomes an easy decision, doesn't it?
Well, also now, like if he gives Dublin a free, it's because he's pro-Dublin.
It's viewed through that prism.
If he gives a free against Dublin, it's because he wants to make a point of how he's not pro-Dublin. And I just think...
I thought he was anti-Mayo a couple of weeks ago, Joe, in Castlebar, so...
You think everybody's anti-Mayo, to be fair, though.
What group of fans like any referee? Genuinely, what group of fans go, oh, great, we've got your man? No, every fan thinks every referee's against them. I don't know. I could
name at least 5 League of Ireland referees right now who I dread getting a Bows game, and probably for no reason than... Do you know what? He just once gave a free kick against us. It doesn't mean anything. Yeah. It literally doesn't mean anything. He's a referee. He's there to call it down the middle. If you've any worry about him not calling any game down the middle, then there's a problem with him being a referee in general.
Yeah.
Just
the fact that he lives and works in Dublin precluding him from refereeing all Ireland finals is just stupid.
I can't. And it just feels a bit concerted. Aidan O'Mahony's come out and said it. Fitzmaurice said it. Like that would carry a lot of weight.
It feels like there's been a circling of the wagons.
A little bit, and this guy's never refereed.
Has he made any other big decisions against Kerry, apart from that incident you spoke about there in 2016?
That was the only big one I could find. I'm sure Kerry fans will.
But that goes back to Richie's point there, really, and it's as bad as it sounds. Is if a referee makes one bad call against you, that's it, forever in their eyes.
Forever in such and such.
You're never going to get over that. And that's the thing.
It doesn't matter. Like in reality,
I know.
It's common sense.
The logical mind within you says it doesn't matter. He's doing his job and that's it. Realistically, he's not biased.
He refereed the Cork game this year against Dublin. So maybe Cork fans let us know what they made of that performance. Last year he refereed Dublin when they lost to Monaghan in the league. So that's an even better Monaghan performance in the face of David Goff's pro-Dublin bias.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't see this. So we'll let the lads make their point, and Pat McEnany will be on as well. Maybe I don't actually know what Pat McEnany thinks about it. Maybe he thinks there is an issue with living in the county. Let us know what you think. 53106. Someone says no way was Kilbane benching 120 kgs at 16. 120 pounds, yeah.
No, I said to you, I think it might have been a bit skewed, but I know for a fact that it might have been.
Kgs.
No, but there's no. Well, I said to you, I've done lifts 110 kgs on a bar. I've done
120 kgs,
one or two at that, and I used to regularly do sets of 3 at 100 kilos.
Ah, well then, look, you're a professional footballer.
Yeah.
Don't mind these lads texting in.
I'm not bothered.
They just can't even.
And it probably was, but I said to you, the only way I can gauge it is there was no pro at the club apart from 2, the goalkeeper and the only outfield player, so the one outfield player that could lift it.
Yeah.
So
Romelu Lukaku says he benched 100 kgs when he was 15.
Yeah, easy. There was loads of lads that would just use. If you spend enough time in the gym, you could easily do it.
But you spent no time in the gym is the interesting
But
point.
I was a kid, maybe that. As I got older, I did actually less and less weights. It was more structured around different sort of different bits that the fitness coach would have been working on.
You'd be like a naturally strong kid.
I would have been, definitely, yeah. That's all it was.
That's all we're saying.
I could take you out to West of Ireland and find you many a man that would be lifting that sort of weight. You know,
Strong man.
You want more of them coming to
Someone says gym folks say the machines give you leverage, makes it much easier. Old school lifting.
That's exactly what I said.
Yeah,
it's a lot easier. It's different from lifting a bar. Very, very different from lifting a bar.
Would you have used a bar or machine as life went on?
Always a bar, yeah.
Always a bar.
Always a bar, yeah.
Okay. So we'll kick things off after 8 o'clock. Tommy Welsh and Shane McGrath, and then we'll talk a little bit of gymnastics. Some unprecedented things happening in gymnastics before 9 o'clock. Kev, we'll get on to that. And then after 9 o'clock, football show with your good self, where we do talk about more than your weights regimen. People will be relieved to know. A long and extended chat about inverted wingers.
Yeah.
And wing play over the last couple of decades, which Kev is very insightful on. So that's all on the way. Meanwhile, Dundalk are in action this evening.
Yeah, and Killa is their home for the night as they look to progress to the playoff round of the Europa League. Vinny Perth's side trail Slovan Bratislava by a 1-0 going into the second leg of their third qualifying round tie. The hosts are unchanged from last week's defeat in the Slovak capital. A reminder of the team: Gary Rogers starts in goal, the familiar back four of Sean Gannon, Andy Boyle, Dan Cleary and Dane Massey. Across the midfield is John Mountney, Chris Shields, Sean Murray and Jamie McGrath, and Michael Duffy is in support of Pat Hooban. And Dundalk really need to rediscover their scoring touch, having found the net just once in 5 European outings so far this summer. Despite the paucity of goals so far, Perth believes they've put a good showing of themselves forward so far.
We've played the Latvian champions, and you know, on paper it was an easy draw for us, but you've seen they've knocked out the Polish champions, and they're still unbeaten in Europe. They after, you know, in the third round Europa League, or they're still in Europe in the third round Europa League. We've gone to Karabag, who you know, are a level or two above us, and Slovan are the level which we want to get to in around playoffs or qualifying for group stages. So we've gone up a level, and it's difficult and it's not as easy as we think, but we do need to win to be it's still in Europe. One goal will be enough in terms of drawing the tie, but we need to win by more than one goal to actually go through, or else it goes to penalties. So that's the challenge for us. I mean, I believe there's a great moment. I believe there's a great night for this group. I think it's, as I've said before, I think it's the best squad we ever had, albeit we've been hurt with injuries over the whole season, but I believe it's a squad capable of, and I believe there's a big moment in this team.
Kick-off in California is at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, we watched this game last week, and I mean, 1-0 was not a fair reflection of what happened, really. They were quite unlucky in many ways. Just one of those cruel blows towards the end. They're still right in this. You'd give them a big chance tonight.
Definitely. I think the way that they play as well. I mean, after what looked like the start of the season, Johnny Ward writing them off after 3 games, wasn't it? 4 games. That was it. They were done for. So they turned it around. But they're a good side that suit European football as well. They've got a lot of quality players in the team. Yeah.
Playing on grass is going to actually help them. It sounds stupid.
I think it will. I think it definitely will tonight.
They've mentioned before how they actually prefer playing away from home, and most of the reason for that is they're not playing on that artificial surface they have in Oriel. Tala's on grass. They've created enough chances so far in the European campaign that I've seen anyway, and I've seen pretty much all 5 of their matches thus far. It's just a matter of putting them away. And if that happens, if that clicks for them tonight, they could be golden.
And Slovan Bratislava are only about 3-4 games into their season, so fitness should not be an issue for Dundalk at all this evening. And they said
you try and
they set a pace last week.
Yeah, set the pace early, isn't it? Exactly what it would be, and certainly maintain that for the first 45 minutes. And ideally, they shouldn't be able to live with it.
We'll keep you updated on that. Richie will be back in at full time to give us a rundown on the game. So that kicks off at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Other action?
Yeah, at the same stage of the competition, Linfield take a 2-1 lead into their second leg with Sucheska at Windsor Park with a 7:45 start. Wexford Youths concluded their Women's Champions League qualifying campaign with a resounding victory this evening. A Kylie Murphy hat-trick saw the National League champions trash Birkirkara of Malta by 7 goals to 2, but Wexford finished second in the group, missing out on a place in the last 32. Celtic could end the night 180 minutes from the Champions League group phase. The Hoops and Cluj are level at 1-1 ahead of the second leg of their third qualifying round tie at Parkhead. Kick-off there is at 7:45.
Kev, Kieran Tierney.
Yeah.
You watch a good bit of Celtic. Are you keeping an eye on Celtic?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of him. He's got a lot of European experience as well.
We had Pat Nevin on
bold from Pat, wasn't it?
Bold, indeed.
Pat upset a few Liverpool fans as well, didn't he?
Look, Pat just gives a very, I think, insightful opinion more often than not. So he was doing the Newcastle-Arsenal game with Stephen Doyle for us on Sunday, and they had a chat afterwards, and Tierney came up, and Nevin said, Andrew Robertson or Tierney, I would take Tierney. Now, if that's right, then Arsenal have got a hell of a day.
I'd say, certainly with the experience and the big games that Robertson's played in, I think if you're looking at it now like for like, I'd probably only just take Robertson. But the thing that weighs heavily in Tierney's favour is that when they played for Scotland, they played 3 at the back. Now, Scotland's 2 best players are both left-backs. Tierney had the ability to play in a different position. So he played left side centre half of the 3. So he can do that. He can play, I would say he could probably play left of a 3 in midfield as well. So I think there's more versatility to Tierney's game than there is to Robertson's. But what Roberts has done at the real elite level in the big games in European football in the last 2 years, I think that's what just puts Robertson ahead of Tierney,
Yeah, I think Pat might accept that to a point, but almost he was saying, well, Tierney definitely has the potential to
yes.
overtake
and
him.
he put it in the bracket. He put him in the bracket of Van Dijk, with what Van Dijk did coming down from the SPL, and I don't see any reason why he can't. Anyone's seen him. He's played so much football now. He's 21, I think he's 21 now, Rich, isn't he? He's been playing since he was 17, so he's played 4 years for football. He's played so many big European games. I think they've got a steal at 25 million. Personally, I do. Because if you look at the
fee because he played in the Scottish Premiership, because there is a sense that perhaps Celtic didn't maximise the money they could have done from Van Dijk or from Tierney or
Van
from
Yarma
or Dembele as well.
Yeah.
But ultimately, big clubs are looking at that going, yeah, well, you've kind of just done it in the Scottish Premiership.
Well, that's the same as the League of Ireland, isn't it? Yeah. We've got a lot of talent here in the League of Ireland, but the fees going over to England or wherever they'll be is 100 grand, 50 grand. It's like, it's a joke. It is a joke because the talent is way beyond that. But it's because it's how the league is perceived, and that's what it is. And that's exactly, I think that's exactly how it is. He's playing in Scotland. He's only playing in Scotland. But he's played in big European games. He's played at a good level, elite level. So I think they've got a bargain. I do genuinely think they've got a bargain.
So where are we going next, Rich?
A trip to Bohemians awaits the winners of tonight's rearranged FAI Cup first round tie. This game called off on Saturday. Longford playing host to Athlone Town in the Midlands Classico. Kick-off at City Calling Stadium coming up at 7:45. Manchester City, meanwhile, have avoided a transfer ban from FIFA for breaches of rules regarding the registration of foreign minors. The Premier League champions have, however, been fined 370 Swiss francs or €340,000 by World Football's governing body. It was feared City could suffer a similar fate as Chelsea in receiving a 2-window transfer ban. A City statement claims the breaches were made before the current regulations came into force. Joey Carbery is set to be fit for Ireland's World Cup opener against Scotland on September 22nd. However, the Munster Red half is unlikely to play in the remainder of Ireland's warm-up games due to an ankle ligament injury. Carbery was stretchered off in Saturday's win over Italy at the Aviva. He is expected to be out for 4 weeks, which would mean he'll return in time for Ireland's first Pool A game. That's in Yokohama. A good day again for Sam Bennett. He secured a 10th stage victory of 2019. The Irish rider claimed the second stage of the Binkbank Tour in Belgium. The back-to-back stage wins leave Bennett with a 12-second lead on general classification, warming up nicely for the Vuelta. And Sligo Rovers have secured 2 members of their current squad for next season. Romeo Parks and Johnny Dunleavy will both stay at the showgrounds through the 2020 campaign. Andy Murray says he won't compete in the men's singles at the US Open as he continues to recover from major hip surgery, but he will play in the doubles. Last night he lost in straight sets against Richard Gasquet in the first round of the Cincinnati Masters. Murray did win 8 games though, and will continue his comeback in China next month. He's going to continue on this evening as well in the doubles. And Coco Gauff will play in the women's singles at Flushing Meadow. The 15-year-old has received a wild card to compete in the main draw next week. Gauff made history last month by becoming the youngest player to qualify for the main draw at Wimbledon. She beat Venus Williams in round 1 before losing to the eventual winner Simona Halep in the 4th round. The Football League have postponed Bury's League 1 home game against Gillingham on Saturday after their owner Steve Dale failed to supply the governing body with outstanding evidence about the club's finances. It's their 4th game to be suspended by the league this season. The EFL require details on how Bury plan to meet commitments made to creditors and how they'll source funding for the season. They've set a deadline of the 23rd of August or they'll withdraw their membership of the competition.
Yeah, I've been looking at that. Bolton and Bury would have been local teams to where I grew up, and we would have played a lot of them against those sides at youth team level. So that is huge. It looks like Bury potentially are going to go, and if it's a historical club, won FA Cups in the past, and that's a huge blow. That really.
I'm not too on top of the story. What's the gist of what's going on?
They haven't got proof of funds that they can actually last the season. So all the players they did the pre-season, but they couldn't play games because they weren't insured. They can't even play games behind closed doors because they're not insured. And they've had to cancel the games. Richard's saying this is the 4th one now that's gone. Longer it goes, I think they've got a 12-point deduction as it is. Starting off with a 12-point deduction anyway because he went into administration. So. Yeah, they're in serious trouble, and this looks like the worst scenario that we've seen probably in professional football, probably since Aldershot. You wouldn't even remember, Joe, who went out the Football League.
90s, that wasn't it?
Yeah, the 90s, went out the Football League, and they're having to build themselves up from there, so potentially this could be them.
Okay. That's awful nonsense, lads. You think a Cork Red living and working in Kerry couldn't happen, but me, the one living and working in Dublin, is okay. Any objection is ridiculous, with a lot of you scoffing like schoolboys in studio at this Kerry objections from high-profile figures who have done so much. It was disgraceful and disrespectful from you. Expect a lot more from you, and yes, I am from Kerry. John, I think someone has to stick up for David Goff here.
We're not disrespecting them. We're disrespect. We're not disrespecting. We just think
you disagree with them. For
yeah, exactly. I don't see how that can be a logical mindset. I don't agree with it.
We're allowed to disagree with it, John. In fairness, it's not disrespectful to disagree with it. I think the position doesn't really hold. I really don't. I don't see how Goff. I mean, he's a teacher, isn't he? He went to 25% of schools are in Dublin. I just
Dublin's a massive city in comparison to the rest of the country.
I really don't. He's not a member of any Dublin GAA club. He doesn't ref in the Dublin Championship. David Coldrick did carry Dublin a couple of years ago. Doesn't he live in Dublin?
Well, that's the case. I mean, we were talking last night about Dublin potentially, certainly winning 8 out the next 10, 6 out, whatever you were saying. But Dublin are going to be there and thereabouts playing in All-Ireland finals.
Coldrick live in Dublin?
You're ruling him out of refereeing an All-Ireland final in his whole career. Then essentially, that's
for a good chunk of it, quite possibly. Yeah.
Does Coldrick live in Dublin?
I've heard that. That's unconfirmed.
Okay, and he's not being subjected to the same.
And I don't remember it at the time. Don't remember that.
Well, he's the other name in contention to.
Yeah, that's why I feel like maybe he's since moved. Again, the other thing is you just see so much.
So if he has moved, he's.
I don't know, Richie. I don't know.
In theory, has he banished then all Dublin people from his life?
Yeah, I don't know. That's all unconfirmed. Yeah. I don't know the Coldrick situation. Someone said that to me, and you get so much stuff said all day. It's amazing, even on Twitter and stuff. People saying different things, which turns out then.
I heard
not to be
David
true.
Goff knows the third secret of Fatima.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think there's just something a bit wrong the way it was done. I don't like the way it was done, to be honest.
Grubby. Undefeated 2-weight world champion Billy Joe Saunders says he's now only targeting the big fights. He's eyeing up a clash with either Saul Canelo Alvarez or Gennady Golovkin after signing a deal with promoter Eddie Hearn. Saunders parted company with promoter Frank Warren earlier this month, and his next bout will be announced next week. It means Saunders is now in the same camp as Katie Taylor, despite previously claiming that women are for cooking, cleaning and indeed sex. Sticking with boxing, and Tyson Fury will take on the unknown Swede Otto Wallin in Las Vegas on September 14th. Wallin, like the former heavyweight Flyweight world champion is unbeaten in his professional career, but this fight represents a significant step up in quality for the Southpaw. Fury is expected to challenge Deontay Wilder for his WBC title in the early part of next year.
That's us done?
Yeah.
I should let you know before we go to an ad break, Off the Ball in association with Cadbury are bringing a monster Premier League roadshow your way this September the 4th. We're going to have Roy Keane and Gary Neville at the Bord Gáis Energy Theatre. It should be a brilliant evening. We'll be putting tickets on sale later this week, so stay tuned for that. We're going to talk to Mike Quirk and to Pat McEnany about why David Goff should or shouldn't referee the All-Ireland finals, kind of blown up in the last day or so. And then after 8 o'clock, Tommy Walsh and Shane McGrath.
Off the Ball on Newstalk. The Eason Book Club on the Pat Kenny Show.
This month, Eason recommended 4 books for us. First Time Lauren Paling Died by Alison Rudd, Hiding Game by Naomi Wood, and Nearly Normal Family by M.T.